You already have a picture of this animal in your head. You've had it since you were a kid. It's wrong.
What most people picture when they hear the word megalodon is a great white shark that got very large. Bigger teeth, bigger body, same animal, just scaled up. That picture is one of the most persistent misconceptions in all of popular science. Because the megalodon was not a great white shark that grew large. It was not closely related to the great white shark. It was not built like the great white shark. It did not hunt like the great white shark. It did not live like the great white shark.
What it actually was is stranger, more complex, and more unsettling than any version of it you've seen on a movie screen. The megalodon's full scientific name is Otodus megalodon. The second word is Greek. It means big tooth. That much, at least, popular culture got right. It lived from roughly 23 million years ago to approximately 3.6 million years ago, a span of nearly 20 million years. To put that in perspective, the entire history of modern humans, from our earliest ancestors to right now, covers less than 300,000 years. The megalodon had already been gone for more than 3 million years before the first recognizably human being walked the earth. It did not coexist with humans. It did not encounter our ancestors. By the time anything resembling us appeared, the megalodon was ancient history.
Here is the first thing the popular image gets wrong. The megalodon was not a member of the family Lamnidae, the family that contains the great white, the mako, and the salmon shark. It belonged to a separate lineage entirely, the family Otodontidae, a group that diverged from the ancestors of modern sharks more than 60 million years ago. The great white shark is not a small megalodon. The megalodon is not a large great white. They are cousins at best, and not particularly close ones. The confusion is partly understandable. Sharks are made mostly of cartilage, which doesn't fossilize the way bone does. What we have are primarily teeth, thousands of them, found on every ocean floor on Earth. From those teeth, and from a small number of fossilized vertebrae, paleontologists have spent 150 years reconstructing what this animal actually was. What they've found does not match the movie. Early reconstructions based on great white proportions estimated the megalodon at 40 to 50 feet long. Later analyses, using more accurate scaling methods and comparing vertebral width to body length ratios across multiple shark species, pushed that estimate upward. The current scientific consensus places the megalodon at between 49 and 65 feet in length. Some individual specimens, based on tooth size, may have reached 67 feet. For reference, a regulation school bus is 35 feet long. The largest great white shark ever reliably measured was just under 20 feet. The megalodon was not twice the size of a great white. It was 3 times the size, or more. But size is where the comparison to the great white ends, because everything else about how this animal was built and how it lived tells a completely different story. The great white shark is cold-blooded. The megalodon almost certainly was not. Analysis of the isotopic composition of fossilized megalodon teeth, specifically the ratio of oxygen 18 to oxygen 16, which varies predictably with body temperature, suggests the megalodon maintained a body temperature significantly warmer than the surrounding water, somewhere between 65 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit, regardless of ocean conditions. This matters enormously.
Warm-bloodedness, or more precisely, regional endothermy, is metabolically expensive. It requires dramatically more food than cold-blooded physiology. But it also confers major advantages: faster muscles, faster digestion, faster brain processing, the ability to operate efficiently in cold water without slowing down. The Megalodon's warm metabolism suggests it was not the sluggish, drifting predator that popular culture tends to imagine. It was fast, it was active, and it was hungry in a way that a cold-blooded animal of similar size would never need to be.
The warm-bloodedness finding is still contested. Some paleontologists argue the isotopic data reflects environmental conditions rather than metabolic heat. Whether the Megalodon was genuinely endothermic and to what degree is one of the most active debates in current Megalodon research. We genuinely don't have a settled answer. The teeth are where most people start, and they are extraordinary. The largest Megalodon teeth ever found measure just over 7 inches from root to tip. A great white's largest teeth reach about 2.5 inches. But size is not the most interesting difference. A great white shark's teeth are serrated, like a steak knife, designed for slicing through flesh and cutting away chunks of prey. Megalodon teeth are serrated too, but they are also significantly broader, thicker at the base, and built to absorb forces that would shatter a great white's tooth entirely. They were not cutting instruments, they were structural load-bearing columns, designed not just to pierce, but to crush. The Megalodon replaced its teeth continuously throughout its life. Estimates suggest it cycled through as many as 40,000 individual teeth over its lifespan. Those discarded teeth, dense with mineral content, sank to the ocean floor, were buried in sediment, and survived. It is why Megalodon teeth are found on every ocean floor on Earth. Not because Megalodons were everywhere simultaneously, though they were, but because 20 million years of continuous tooth replacement produces an almost incalculable number of fossils. Megalodon teeth have been found at depths that suggest they sank to the ocean floor and were then pushed upward by tectonic activity, meaning some teeth found on modern beaches may have spent millions of years 3 miles underwater before resurfacing. The journey of a single tooth from a living Megalodon to a collector's hand is itself a 3.6 million year story. The bite force of the Megalodon has been estimated multiple times using multiple methods. The most conservative published estimates place it at around 25,000 pounds of force. The highest credible estimates reach approximately 41,000 pounds. For comparison, the bite force of a great white shark is approximately 4,000 pounds. A saltwater crocodile, the most powerful bite force of any living animal, reaches about 3,700 pounds. The Megalodon's bite force was 6 to 10 times more powerful than the strongest bite of any living creature on Earth today. It is the most powerful bite force of any animal that has ever been documented in the fossil record. Nothing before it or since has come close. That bite force was not used to eat fish. It was used to eat whales. Fossilized whale bones from the Megalodon's era have been found with bite marks that match Megalodon teeth precisely. Circular punctures, compressed fractures, scored drag marks. The pattern tells a specific story about hunting strategy. The Megalodon did not tear flesh from the side of a whale the way a great white attacks a seal. It targeted the bones themselves, the rib cage, the spine, the skull, crushing the structural skeleton to immobilize the animal before feeding. This is not the behavior of a predator that hunts by bleeding prey out. This is the behavior of a predator built to collapse the architecture of the largest animals on Earth. Fossilized whale bones show healed megalodon bite marks, meaning the whale survived the initial attack. We have direct physical evidence of whales that were struck by a megalodon and escaped. What that escape looked like and how common it was tells us something about megalodon hunting efficiency that we are still trying to quantify. Megalodon teeth have been found on every continent except Antarctica, off the coast of North Carolina, in the cliffs of Peru, on the beaches of Morocco, in the shallow sediment beds of Australia, in river deposits in Florida that were once the ancient seafloor. This was not an animal with a limited range. It was an apex predator with a global distribution, the first animal we know of to have dominated every major ocean simultaneously. The warm-bloodedness helps explain this. Cold-blooded sharks are constrained by water temperature. They slow and eventually die in cold water. A warm-bodied megalodon could follow prey into cold ocean water that most large predators of its era could not access. It was not just the largest predator in the ocean, it was the most versatile one. In 2023, a team of paleontologists published a study that changed how scientists understand the megalodon's life cycle. They had been analyzing a deposit of fossilized megalodon teeth in a specific location off the coast of what is now Spain, a shallow, protected bay that would have been warm, nutrient-rich, and relatively enclosed during the megalodon's era. What they found was that the teeth in this deposit were overwhelmingly small, not juvenile by great white standards, juvenile by megalodon standards, meaning the teeth came from animals that were already at birth between 6 feet and 13 feet long. The deposit was a nursery, a place where megalodon mothers gave birth and where the young spent the early phase of their lives before moving into open ocean. This discovery confirmed something paleontologists had suspected but not proven. The megalodon gave birth to live young, not eggs, and those pups were already enormous at birth. An animal born at 6 to 13 feet long, already larger than most adult sharks alive today, already capable of hunting prey larger than any animal a great white would attempt. But the nursery discovery doesn't just tell us about how megalodons were born. It tells us something devastating about how they died.
The megalodon went extinct approximately 3.6 million years ago. The question of why has produced more competing hypotheses than almost any other extinction event in the fossil record. The most commonly cited reason is climate change, specifically a global cooling event that began around 5 million years ago, dramatically shrinking the warm, shallow coastal seas where the megalodon's prey was most abundant. As whale populations shifted their ranges toward polar waters that the megalodon may not have been able to follow indefinitely, the food base contracted.
But climate alone may not explain the speed of the collapse, because around the same time the megalodon disappeared, something else appeared. The great white shark and the orca. Both are highly intelligent, highly social predators that hunt in coordinated groups. Neither of those descriptions applies to the megalodon.
The evidence suggests that the megalodon, despite its size, was a solitary hunter, an apex predator that relied on ambush and overwhelming force rather than coordination or social strategy. Against prey that was evolving to be faster, more coordinated, and more evasive, that strategy may have begun to fail. But here is where the nursery discovery becomes critical. Nurseries require specific conditions: warm water, protected coastline, abundant shallow water prey for animals that are large but not yet capable of hunting deep ocean whales. As global temperatures dropped and coastlines shifted, those nursery sites, the exact locations where the next generation of megalodons were being born and raised, disappeared.
Every few years, a video surfaces online claiming to show evidence that the megalodon is still alive. It is not. The evidence for this is not ambiguous, and it is not a matter of scientific debate. We have extensive records of whale populations, the megalodon's primary food source, from every ocean on Earth. A living population of animals that needed to consume several adult whales per week to survive their metabolic demands would be, as a straightforward matter of ecology, detectable.
We would see the missing whales before we saw the shark. We do not see the missing whales. But here is what the survival theory gets right, even in getting the conclusion wrong. The deep ocean is genuinely unexplored. We have mapped approximately 25% of the ocean floor in meaningful detail. In the 75% we haven't seen, we are still finding new species every year, some of them large, some of them ancient, some of them more bizarre than anything in the fossil record. The megalodon is not there, but the instinct behind the question, the sense that the ocean still holds things we don't understand, animals we haven't named, behaviors we can't explain, is not wrong. It is just pointed at the wrong animal. The deep ocean is full of things that should not exist by the rules we thought governed life. The megalodon is not one of them. But the ocean is not finished surprising us. The megalodon existed for 20 million years. It hunted on every ocean on Earth. It gave birth to young that were already larger than most living predators. It maintained a body temperature in waters where most animals of its size would have slowed to near stillness. It had a bite force that no animal before or since has matched. And then the world changed, and it was gone. What the fossil record gives us in exchange for the actual animal is something rarer than most people realize. It gives us a complete arc. We know when the megalodon appeared. We know what it evolved from. We know how it grew, how it hunted, where it gave birth, and how its lineage ended. We know the specific environmental pressures that drove its decline and the approximate window, measured in hundreds of thousands of years, during which the last populations struggled and failed. Most species in the history of life on Earth left no record at all. They appeared, they lived, they vanished, and the planet kept turning. The megalodon left us 40,000 teeth per individual, scattered across the ocean floors of the world, waiting to be found. It left us enough to reconstruct a life.
There is a tooth in a museum in South Carolina, a perfect specimen, 6.8 inches from root to tip, that sat in ocean sediment for 3.6 million years before a diver named Vito Bertucci pulled it from the bottom of the Cooper River in 1987. That tooth spent 3.6 million years in the dark. It was shed by an animal that lived and hunted and eventually died in a world that no longer exists. And now it is under glass, in a room with air conditioning and fire suppression systems, and school children who press their noses against the case. The megalodon is gone. It was not a monster. It was not the thing from the movie. It was an animal, warm-blooded, live-birthing,
globally distributed, metabolically demanding apex predator of an ocean that is now 3.6 million years in the past. An animal that lived on a scale so far beyond our intuition that the only honest response when you actually understand what it was is not fear. It's something closer to grief.